Hello friends, welcome back. Today we would be learning something very interesting, that is how to automatically create VCARD in the form of QR codes using Excel macros. In one of my previous tutorials, I had explained how to automatically create VCF or VCARDs. Today we would be seeing the same thing, but the output would be in the form of a QR code. So let me first give you a demo. So if you would see, these are my details, like I have contact details over here, and when I click on this button I will get the equivalent QR codes for all these data in column J. So I click on it, wait for a few seconds, and just in a fraction of a second you see these QR codes have been generated. Now you could pause your video at this point and use your QR code scanner or just the camera of your cell phones and try to scan these codes, and whatever details which are available over here, these would be available as a contact. So with this approach you will not have to manually add the contacts with the help of QR codes. Just scanning it and the contacts would be added into your phone. Also you could use these QR codes, take a print of it, and put it on your business cards. Now let's how to write the code to develop this kind of a system which would be auto generating the QR codes based on your data. So you have to go to the developer, Visual Basic, and here I have the code ready with me. So I'll explain you what these lines of code mean so that it would be easier for you to implement the same. So this line which I'm highlighting right now, this is very important. Now the QR code is getting generated with the help of this Google APIs. So this URL is very important. I am storing this URL in this variable. And now I'm using a for loop. For loop is like the for loop. The intention of the for loop is like it will go through all the data. Like here in my case, the data starts from row number 2 to row number 5. So I have mentioned from intro to 2 to 5. Okay, and these are all the variables for the different columns. For example, we have first name, last name, cell phone, etc. So we have one variable each, and you could see we are fetching the data from the appropriate columns. So at this point we have already read the data from the columns, and now we need to put the data which we have read from all these columns into a specific format. The format is called the VCA format. Like we have to just put the data in that format, because to generate the QR code which would be storing the contact information, it needs the data to be in the VCF format. So the details around the VCF format I have already provided in one of my previous tutorials. The link of that tutorial is available in the description section. Here I'll just briefly explain like how the format works. So whenever we are starting the VCF format, it begins with this keyword begin VCARD. So you could see over here the variable at this point is blank, and here we are appending it with the begin VCARD keyword, and then we have the version. And now the important things, like when we have to put the name of the contact, we use this n colon tag. One important part over here, when we are using the n colon, the last name should appear first and the first name should go at the back. For organization or company name, we have this org colon tag. For designation or title, we have the title tag. So once you have created this kind of a VCF format, what I'm doing is like at this line here, I am inserting this VCF format into this cell over here, so that it is pretty clear like how the VCF file format looks like. So all the details which are there from column A through H are now available in the VCF format in column I, and this format which we have available in column I, we would be using it to generate the QR code. Okay, moving forward, so once these lines of code get executed, the last line for the VCARD would be to end the VCARD. So everything is stored within this str VCF variable, and here in column I we are just putting whatever are the contents of the str VCF variable. Now comes a very important part where we are actually forming the URL. If you remember, we had this variable str URL where we are making a call to the Google API. Now we need this URL along with the strvcf variable to actually generate the QR code. So these lines of code which I'm highlighting right now, these three lines of code are very important. I'll explain you the importance. Like the URL takes this parameter and CHS, where we are providing the size of the QR code. Here I have mentioned as 174 by 174. The next is like this and CHL, and this should be appended with the entire VCF body. So our final URL, this is the variable str final URL. I will execute this in debugging mode and I'll show you the contents of the str final URL variable. For that, I'm putting a breakpoint over here and now executing this. So str final URL is now populated. To see the contents of str final URL, I am copying this str final URL variable from the keyboard, doing a Control G. So this kind of a window will come up. Here you have to provide question mark and the variable name and hit enter. So the entire contents of str final URL would be appearing in this window. You have to copy this, go to any browser, and here just paste the entire URL and just hit enter, and you could see this QR code has been generated. So this is the same QR code which is getting generated, and from here we would be pulling this QR code and putting it back into our Excel sheet over here. I will show you the code to achieve the same. The code goes like this. So since we would be storing the QR code as an image, we are creating an object of pictures. So we have to use this syntax which I'm highlighting right now. Set any name of the object. I've written the name as pic is equal to active sheet.pictures.insert, and you have to provide the final URL. So this was the final URL. You have to provide it here as a parameter. So once this object is created, the next two lines of code are very simple. Like you're just placing that, like we are telling pic.top, and the picture should be placed at column J and the current row number. Right now the current row number is 2. Once the code will be executing, one by one it would be reading the data and it would be placing the respective QR codes in column J and what is the current row number. So this is the code, like all these lines, when all these lines of code will get executed, the QR code would be available in column J. So right now I'm stopping the execution, and what I'll do is once again I'll just remove all these QR codes, and once again I'll show the execution from scratch. So I have removed all the data from the column I and J, and once again when I click it, before clicking it, I'll just remove the breakpoint. So the execution will not halt over here. I removed the breakpoint. So either I can run it from here or I could click the button. So I'll just click the button over here and you could see the QR codes are now generated. So this is the entire code which is doing the task of generating a VCARD in the form of a QR code. This entire code is available on the blog. So do not worry about the syntaxes. You could just come to the blog automationagile.com. Within this menu, generate QR code in VCARD format. So here you'll find the entire code. You could just refer it and create your own script to automate the QR code generation. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you like my tutorials, I would request you to please subscribe to my channel so that you'd be updated with the latest videos I would be uploading. Guys, thanks for joining. I'll see you soon. Bye.